All right, and welcome to the Michelle Chalfant Show, Tali and Ophira Edut,
Yes.
Hello, hello.
the Astro Twins. They are here. I'm so happy to have both of you. Thanks so much for joining us in the beginning of 2025. I mean, what the timing is perfect. So it's wonderful to have you both with us. Thank you. And I'd love to start out. Like, tell us a tiny bit about how the both of you got on this path of astrology and becoming the Astro Twins. I want to hear your story.
Yeah,
Sure.
totally an accidental career. But also maybe written in the stars. We did go to space camp in sixth grade and we're always obsessed with the planets. But more than anything, being twins, you tend to be more relationship oriented. You're obsessed
Mhm.
with what makes other people tick because you're always interacting. And
Mhm.
what we loved most about astrology when we were 21, Ophi's boyfriend gave her, or I say gave us, a birth chart, which is basically a map of where all the planets were when you were born. Most people only
Mhm.
know that they have a zodiac sign. We're Sagittarius, you're Scorpio, but that's really the position of the sun in the sky. So with the moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, it's so unique. Only someone born the same minute in the same time zone as you will share your chart. We're 4 minutes apart and we have a slightly different chart. So we got this booklet from Calvin. I keep saying we because but because it was the
Same chart, basically.
best
Yeah.
gift, yeah. And
4 minutes
was
apart.
yeah, it was like, how does this know so much about us? And we became obsessed with trying to really just figure out the code behind it. And soon enough, we're talking to all of our friends about it, talking about the relationships and then we got offered a job at Teen People magazine because we were working in media to write their daily
Wow.
horoscopes, and we have literally not stopped since. We've written 22 books, we've worked on a TV show, we've done readings for Dua Lipa, Stevie Wonder, Beyonce. We gave her her first reading. So it has been a
I love it.
wild cosmic ride. Yes.
That is such an awesome story. I love it. And I love, my father was an identical twin, so I know twins very, very, very well. And it's fascinating to me that you're 4 minutes apart, so your charts are, of course, a little different. And that's one of the questions that I had for you all is that because people always think, well, I'm a Scorpio or I'm a Gemini or I'm a Taurus, and that's just how I am. It's like, no, 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 no. You've got to look at the whole entire chart. My nephew is also born on my birthday, which is November 9th. He and
Hmm.
I are not alike. Like I would consider myself a true blue Scorpio. Like I'm so much
Right.
more Scorpio than he is, but I've got more Scorpio in my chart than he is. I got a lot of Virgo and Scorpio. So can you let people know, explain that a little bit more? Because people will say, well, I don't resonate with my sign. Well, it's like, well, that's just your sun sign. So explain to people what an astrology chart is, if you would.
Yeah. You want me to, Ophi? Yeah. Oh, Ophi needs to be unmuted. She said
Oh,
she can't be. Oh.
hold on.
There we go. I
There
was
you go.
like, here we go. I'm the second born twin. I'm always on mute. No, I'm just
I'll
kidding.
tell you what
Kidding,
Evie.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could really spin this into something, couldn't we? But we're not gonna because that would just be made up anyway. So
I love it. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what's tell people what an astrology chart actually is, and that we
yeah,
are so much more than what that sun sign is, So,
totally.
tell people about that.
Yeah, we call it a selfie of the sky at the moment of your birth. It's like
Mm.
if you just looked up overhead from wherever you were born on this planet and took a snapshot of the arrangement of the planets around your exact location when you were born. That is this blueprint of your soul. We call it the instruction manual that people actually
Mhm.
do come with. So the patterns, the placements of the planets around you. That's why when people say, oh, my zodiac sign changed, or there's a 13th sign because the constellation shifted, that
Mhm.
doesn't matter in
Mhm.
Western astrology. It's just the position of the planets related to where you were born on Earth. And then it can tell you your strengths, your weaknesses, your natural tendencies. But that's one of the reasons I think people resist astrology is because they're like, this piece of paper or this circle isn't going to tell me who I
Mm.
am. Well, you're right. It will tell you your factory settings, but it's the beginning of a conversation about free will. When you understand what that map is telling you, then you can make conscious choices to change the parts that maybe you don't like, or strengthen the weaknesses, or tone down, play with the dials a little bit.
Yeah. I love that. And here's the thing too, because I've talked with people. I've had my chart done probably 20 some years ago for the first time. I
Oh,
love
wow.
astrology. But throughout the years, people would say to me, "Oh, no, 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 no. I'm religious, I'm Christian, I'm this, I'm that. I can't do that."
Right.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I mean, the way I see it, and I'd love your both of your opinion on this is, to me,
Hmm.
it's like mathematical or almost scientific,
Right.
right? It's not
It
this,
is.
people think it's so woo woo, and it's not that woo woo is bad at all. I love woo woo, but the astrology chart isn't. It's like factual based.
No.
It's like,
Yeah.
is where the planets were when you were born. So can you
The
Love
talk a little
that.
bit about
stars
that?
and the
Hmm.
stars and the heavens are part of all creation. So
Yeah.
why leave them out? Why assign a negative trait to them? I mean, that's where it all began, right? With the
Hmm.
heavens. So I
The
think that
Magi followed the three stars of Orion's belt, if you want to get biblical. Our mother is actually a rabbi, so we grew up with a lot of
Wow.
religion in Detroit, which is a heavily Christian area too in the
Mm.
Midwest. But we found that we actually have a lot of people who follow us who are religious because,
Mhm.
they understand that there is a divine force greater than them. And there are a lot of people who embrace religion without fear and are
Right.
open, and are very open to signs and guidance.
And
So
I
I
think
think,
there's
Yeah.
also been like a history of bad witches out there who will draw people in with an astrology reading and a tarot reading, and then all of a sudden the price starts going up. Oh, I'm going to charge you $500. We've got to burn this candle. Oh, now it's going to be $10,000 to get the curse off your home. So there are people who have abused this
yeah.
very spiritual and well-intended craft. Astrology is the best map to understanding yourself. And,
Hmm.
one of the
Yep.
best places to begin is with your big three. If you know your time of birth, you can do that, or your big
Okay.
two, your sun sign and your moon sign. And then the
Okay.
third element is the rising sign. So that was actually what changed and really got me personally, and I think Ophi too, like obsessed, was finding out our moon sign. So the sun in astrology, if you think about all like your another metaphor we like to use is that your birth chart is the cast of characters in the movie of your life. And it's
Hmm.
almost like, or if you talk about internal family systems and parts work, the
Hmm.
planets are like the different parts of your personality. So the sun is your main character energy, your zodiac sign, which is Scorpio for you,
Hmm.
Sagittarius for us. That's how you'll shine in the world. Now, the
Hmm.
moon, on the other hand, is the counterpart to the sun. That's your emotional nature, your inner self, and the part of you that people get to know the people who know you well will know your moon sign, but maybe you won't trot it out immediately. So our moon sign is in Scorpio and yours is in Aquarius, I saw.
Hmm.
So very
Hmm.
different. So you're a lot like us. Your moon and sun energy are very different. So
Uh-huh.
like while Sagittarius is this very upbeat, optimistic sign, we've always also had this part of ourselves that can really go into mysteries. And I know I can be highly sensitive, especially in relationships. I need loyalty and trust and very scorpionic traits. And I never understood why I wasn't more like a Sag, and probably for you with an Aquarius moon, you're much more laid back and open-minded and chill when it comes to your interactions. And people probably say to you, "Oh, you're not like a Scorpio," or like, "I thought you'd be more possessive," and you're probably not really.
Uh,
Or you have your
I haven't
moment,
dated in so long. I'm married now, but yeah, I can be. I can flip into Scorpio in a heartbeat
of
and
course,
get
of
like
course.
very,
Sure.
yeah, it's like, "Whoa." But yeah, I
But
might
more
agree with you
like
there.
Aquarius moon is sort of looking out for the collective, and even
Oh
that you have
yeah.
your audience involved on the show.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like very
exactly.
Aquarius is a sign, and then the rising sign. You need to know your time of birth for that. But
Mhm.
at your exact time of birth, the zodiac wheel, those part of the sky is always sort of moving, and one sign will always be on the eastern horizon if you look out. And whatever sign that is your ascendant, your rising sign, and that's what was dawning at your time of birth. So that will also be an additional bit of information about where your focus is, what you're always going to be
Mm.
looking for and searching for, and where
Mhm.
your horizon line is. So for us, that's Capricorn, and I saw for you that's Aquarius too.
Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
for Capricorn rising, we turn everything into a business. Capricorn is a sign of the careerist. So for you, like it just sort of doubles that your emotional energy is not hidden with your rising sun and moon being the same. It's very clear that you're here to help people and do good and, push people into greater consciousness and knowing of
That's
themselves.
it.
Yep.
So true.
Exploring
So
the
true.
mysteries of
Yeah.
Scorpio and bringing them to the people.
Yes. So, so true. Oh my gosh. So, talk about then, just like we can look at what was going on with our birth chart, like where everything was with our birth chart. How do you use astrology for even knowing, like, okay, what's coming? Because we can predict, of
Yeah.
course, when the full moons are, when the new moons are, and we can predict where everything's that's going on in the sky, let's basically say. So then when it comes to looking into the future, again, taking the woo woo out of it, again, I don't care if we go woo woo, but to take it out of it, again, it becomes very scientific with what's coming in the future, correct?
Yeah. So while your birth chart never changes, and that the birth chart is so there's two ways that you can use astrology. One for
Mhm.
understanding of the self and what makes you tick, and that's just your straight up birth chart. You can do
Mhm.
that for an event too, like for example,
Mhm.
the minute you got married, or
Mhm.
every your
Change
birth
the
is
name
an
of your
event.
company. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a chart around that event as well. So, but then we have something for predictive astrology called the bi-wheel, where you layer as like a second chart, almost like remember how cameras have the ring that you would turn to open or close the lens, or like the
Oh,
dial
yeah.
on a clock. So
Yeah.
you can place the moving planets in a second ring around your static birth chart, or and
Mm.
then look at where they were yesterday, a year ago, 10 years ago, where they'll be tomorrow, the day you're thinking about having that important meeting, anything like that. And you can see how they line up with the static planets in your chart. And that's how astrologers use this, what we call woo woo. It's so funny. I mean, it's like on the one hand, it's a playful term, but it
Yeah.
has a sort of a derision in it. When we use it fondly internally, but it's really
Mhm.
just because we haven't reverse engineered what we're really doing. So we're just saying, I don't
Mhm.
know how to describe what's happening here, and there is some mystery. But even the great mathematicians all said, nobody thinks of math as woo woo, but I think it's one of the most woo woo things out there because,
Mhm.
and science too, because we only know a fraction of what there is to know in the
So
universe.
true.
And math and science are steeped in the unknown and the mystery and discovery. We haven't even remotely scratched the surface. So I think they're much more
Mhm.
woo woo than astrology is, which is a very simple measurement. We know exactly, NASA has already mapped out even 300 years from now where the planet Saturn will be, and you could
Mhm.
match that to
Wow.
where it will be compared to your chart. Obviously, you won't be alive probably in 300 years. Who knows at this rate? Maybe we will, but or reincarnated, but that's another show.
That's
But
another show.
even like in a year or something, or in 6 months, you can pick a date and a time, like 9 o'clock on June 16th. I think I'm
Mhm.
gonna get on a flight to here. What does the sky look like, and how does that? You can look at just the sky. You can look at, and then you can look at it layered with your chart and see, oh, well, Jupiter, which is a planet of travel, is going to be in my second house. We'll show you this when we share our screens too, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
money, for example. I'm going on a business trip. That looks like it could be good, or Mercury will be retrograde, which is not great for travel. It'll be in my sixth house, which is detail. So I better be extra vigilant around not forgetting a passport or to pack
Mm,
something or my meds. The sixth house is health. I better pack all
mhm,
my medications and that's how we use it. It becomes very, very practical for planning.
mm. I love that.
Hmm.
Um, so talk about then when it comes to things like, everyone talks about, oh, Mercury is in
Yeah.
retrograde.
Right.
Don't sign contracts, communication breaks down, all blah, 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 blah. Talk about
Right.
what exactly is happening. Because I know, like,
Sure.
I think it was in December, there were 4 or 5 planets that were in retrograde. And I was like, what is going on?
Well, that
Yeah,
actually
well,
happens
that's
for a good
yeah,
amount
it
of the
It
year.
does.
We
was
just
cool.
don't know it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
exactly. Nobody talks about the other
Let
planets
I'll
that go in retrograde.
let us
Right.
explain this for
Please
you.
explain
Yeah.
retrograde and what
I
that
mean,
means. And yeah.
even if you don't know the complex parts of how to compare two charts, we're all influenced by cycle. So retrogrades, every single one of the what are considered the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto,
Mhm.
are retrograde for about 5 months every single year. So, but Mercury retrogrades happen when Mercury passes the Earth in its orbit. And
Mm.
those optical illusions of like two cars or trains passing each other at different speeds, and one suddenly looks like it's going backwards.
Yeah.
That is what happens during a Mercury retrograde, because Mercury takes 88 days to go around the sun. So it's going to pass us a few times every year, and 3 times, sometimes 4, but usually 3 times a year. We'll have these 3-week cycles where Mercury looks like it's going backwards through the zodiac. And so really, one of our favorite astrologers, Stephen Forrest, says astrology is the poetry of the sky, or
Oh.
math plus myth. So astrologers layer a quality onto the planet. Mercury is the communicator, the messenger.
Mhm.
So all the things that Mercury rules seem to go backwards during a retrograde. Your communication goes haywire a little bit. The people, friends that you socialized with and haven't talked to for years come back. They say
Oh,
it's not a
wow.
good time to sign contracts. A lot of times you have to, you don't have a choice, but you can easily miss the fine print. So you have to read very carefully. Venus,
Hmm.
the planet of love, goes retrograde every 18 months. And by the way, that's happening this year from March,
Oh.
April 12th. So, and
Hmm.
what happens was very interesting too, because for 584 days, Venus appears as what's called an evening star. The ancients actually thought that there were two Venuses,
Oh, wow.
Hesperus and Phosphorus. So Venus has been in the sky. Well, not actually half the time. Venus has been in the sky as an evening star appearing just before dusk. You can see Venus now, actually. Um, but then there's this period of time where Venus disappears. You don't see Venus at all, and then comes back again as a morning star. So that's this 6-week period. And we
Interesting.
always say that's a time for putting old love stories to bed and writing a new chapter. So that happens every 18 months. So, and then
Wow.
Mars is retrograde right now. Mars and it's retrograde in Cancer, the sign of homes, and Mars is kind of a fiery planet. It's ruler of Aries, and it's just what's happening in LA right now and everything, and the devastation there. And it's just like these
Mm.
are the kind like retrogrades can bring up really
Hmm. Yeah.
unfortunate and harsh events that force us to rebuild all the words like reconfigure, rewire,
Mm.
rebuild. So it's a little bit of
Yeah.
a
Interesting.
long explanation, but does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I noticed that when things like there's a full moon, I
Hmm.
cannot
Hmm.
sleep.
Yep.
Can't sleep. Like
Yeah, you're either
or
really tired or you're wired with a full.
exactly. And I remember when I used to see clients in person, and I would be like, God, I'm so tired. And then one client after the next would come in and I'm exhausted. Or I'm emotional. And I was
Right.
very in sync with it wasn't every client, it was most of them though. And then I'd look and go, oh my God, it's a full moon or it's a new moon. I'm like, that's what it
Yeah.
is. So there's so much that's happening again out in space that really does affect us. Solar
Mm-hmm.
flares, even the solar
Oh
flares.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, good
You can
God.
feel those and yeah, the moon is really a
Mm-hmm.
great place to start. The moon is your
Yeah.
starter kit, and I think we connect to the moon because we can literally see it waxing and waning. So,
Mm-hmm.
and these are 1 month cycles. So there's a new moon once a month. It's
Mm-hmm.
the same sign that the sun is in. So right now we're in Capricorn season. We had a Capricorn new moon on December 30th. Then
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks later, you get a full moon, and that's in the opposite sign of the sun. So we've got a full moon in Cancer on January 13th. And that's a time for manifestation, manifesting things that happened 6 months earlier during the corresponding new moon. In
Oh,
between, yeah, so there was a new moon in
interesting.
Cancer during Cancer season in the summer,
Mhm.
and then you have this 6 month cycle of manifestation. Then in between, you have these balancing quarter moons. So it's like
Mhm.
you get a chance to really set intentions every month with the new moon. We have one in January on the 29th in Aquarius. And that's the Aquarius new moon, little fun fact, starts the Lunar New Year. So the year of the
Ah,
every year. Yeah. So the wood snake begins on January 9th.
nice.
Yeah.
Love it. So when you think then about, or not think, when you look at the 2025 year ahead,
Mm-hmm.
what do you ladies see
Well,
Oh,
we
in
give,
the
yeah.
astrology chart? Like what's happening? What do you see coming for us in
It's
2025?
it's really perfectly positioned in the middle of the decade because it is a bridge year between
Mm.
the first half and the second half of the 2020s. The
Mm-hmm.
first half, as we all know, were pretty heavy, starting with the pandemic. And we give
Yeah.
every year a theme and a name.
Mm-hmm.
2023 was a year of what if, and
Mm.
2024 was the year of transcendent leadership. 2025 we're calling the year of the divine pendulum because it
Ooh.
starts with like a swing backwards and with all the zodiac signs in one kind of configuration, and then mid spring summer we've got three
planets.
major.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I said zodiac signs, I meant
Mhm.
planets. Sorry. Thank you. So then we've got three major planets swinging into brand new signs that they haven't been in for decades or even centuries: Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. We also have
Wow.
Pluto in Aquarius for the first time in over 250 years. And and then the other three are going to swing back for a little while toward the end of the year for one last hurrah in the same signs they start 2025 in. So it's like this
Mm.
slingshot effect, but sneak preview of 2026 and beyond. And then in 2026, we're going to really move into that. So I think actually it's kind of nice that we get a warm up. I mean, one of the big ones is Uranus, the planet of progress and change, going into Gemini for the first time since 1940 to 49. Now, that was a time of war, but
Wow.
also a time of innovation, which often go hand in hand. But
Mm-hmm.
all the AI and everything that we've been warming up for from July 7th to November 7th in this year, we're really going to experience a lot of how that gets implemented, for example. But at the
Okay.
same time, the divine part, we have the lunar north node, which is our karmic collective destiny, going into Pisces this weekend on 111.
Mm.
And for the first time in 18 years, since 2007. And um and then we have Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So we have this also all this psychedelics and raise technology and consciousness are both
Mhm.
going to be expanding faster than ever. And I
Wow.
and they're kind of flip sides of the same coin. We can't have one without the other. So
Mm.
yeah, we've been it's been happening,
Yeah.
but it's going to happen in this very concrete way in 2025.
Mm. What did you say is happening on 111?
the North Node, which is our karmic destiny point. So, and then there's the South Node, which is sort of our collective shadow. So they're always in opposite signs,
Okay.
and they take 18 months to travel through this pair of signs, which means it
Mm.
takes them about 18 to 19 years to return to that same pairing that way.
Mm.
So they've been in Aries and Libra since July 2023, which is war and peace. And boy, have we experienced that, right? So,
So
um,
how does that what does that look like? Are you feeling or not feeling? It's not about feeling. When you look at the charts, is
mhm.
it mean there might be more war, more peace?
Well,
Like
they're
what is that?
leaving though. They're leaving Aries and Libra on
Okay.
111. So
Oh, good.
yeah. So it's like, what did we learn? What did we
Hmm.
learn about balancing? We can't have peace without expressing conflict and anger, but we can't express it. So we can't be passive or passive aggressive, but we also have to find other
Mm.
ways to harmonize and coexist, besides overtaking. So you see all this aggression and then also this
Hmm.
kind of like people telling you there's a lot of anger among the people right now because they feel that that's why the transcendent leadership year, they feel that they have been told or promised something and not given it. I mean,
Mm.
even like people who just today, or like people who are in California with wildfires burning and finding out they don't have fire insurance and that kind
Mm.
of thing. Like they're feeling like the companies and
Yeah.
politicians that I voted for are giving me lip service but not protecting me. So there's a lot of anger from the people as
Yeah, and
well.
Pisces and Virgo couldn't come anytime sooner. These are the signs of healing, service,
Mm.
compassion. So
Nature, the
yeah,
environment, Virgo's
Oh,
earth sign,
so
Pisces is the
that's coming
oceans and
too?
yeah,
water.
that's starting. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think of, the forests, we have Pluto. So Pluto also begins, it stays in every sign for 12 to up to 30 years. And
Hmm. Hmm.
um it announces itself sometimes. It's like the phoenix. It can come in with some
Mm.
destruction. So in 2008, it went into Capricorn, which rules the economy, architecture,
Oh,
structures,
wow.
government.
Yeah.
So it'll destroy or shake up what we know. We had the housing market crash.
Mm.
We had, the bailouts of the big three. We had our first African American president. We had all these shakeups. Well, now it's in Aquarius, which is an air sign. We have these Santa Ana winds coming in, and
Mhm.
just like what are we being told that we need to pay attention to? In, hopefully it just does, usually like makes a statement and then that's the worst of it. So
Mhm.
hoping that ends ASAP. But
Yeah.
what do we need to learn about fairness and Aquarian ideals? I think, Luigi Mangione was that whole United Healthcare thing happened right at the beginning of Pluto and Aquarius too. No
Wow.
condoning of violence, but what is the message? How is that a message about
Aquarius is a
the
power to the
people?
yeah, Aquarius is very power to the people energy. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this
yeah.
is not us saying anything is good or bad as astrologers. We kind of take this 30K foot view and go like, what is
Yeah.
happening? Whether the person wins the election that we wanted to or not, whether we agree or
Mhm.
disagree, let's just, observe and see how that has a message from the stars about how we can do better as humans on this planet.
What do you see about crypto?
Oh,
Anything with that? Finances,
absolutely.
financial, yeah, all that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying for since 2016, 2017 that crypto is going to be the next thing, not because we're,
Mm.
crypto bros and women's clothing here, but because Uranus, which is the planet of change, deep
Mhm.
change, has been in Taurus, which rules money since 2018.
Mhm.
And Pluto, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius in the late 1700s, was right after the United States was formed and the founding of the
Mm.
US Mint and the US dollar. So our whole monetary system was created at the beginning of the last Pluto and Aquarius cycle, which took about
Wow.
250 years. And it was because in the colonies they had a currency that was called the Continental that was suffering from inflation and God, what do you like the imposter? I'm the, of a, why can I not get the word in my mind right now? But counterfeiting and all
Oh,
kinds
yeah,
of
yeah,
things. So
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
it was becoming weakened, and so they needed a centralized new monetary system. So even though crypto is kind of different than that, we think that in this Pluto and Aquarius era, which is going to span until early 2044, digital
Mhm.
currency, Aquarius rules technology, is
Mm.
going to really, it's just going to become the new normal for the world.
You know what? I had another astrologer on. I want to say it was right around 2018. And I remember she said the same thing. She's like,
Oh, wow.
yes, crypto is coming. It is
Yeah.
Hmm.
going to be the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I agree. I mean, it just seems like we're moving in that direction.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, it will be institutionalized. It's not going to be
Mhm.
the free for all it was when it first started, but as Pluto and Aquarius brings power to the people and we're in this more
Mhm.
globally connected world, it's just going to make sense to have the ability to pay for things digitally anyway.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And what other sorts of shifts or anything? What about like world health? You see anything else coming?
Hmm.
Definitely.
Looking.
Yeah, I mean it is. So just to, mention the nodes, the lunar nodes are points in the sky that are based on where the eclipses are happening. So there's a part of the
Hmm.
sky, and the eclipses actually take 18.6 years to return to the same place as they were, and that's how the nodes work. So they are these really like charged points in the sky. So this year, whenever they change signs, it sets our collective destinies. So that focus on wellness, health, healing. But Pisces being the North Node, I think like and Virgo, like I think we're gonna see a lot more medi spas. And I mean there's a lot of,
Hmm.
people using semi-glutides to, it's not just for weight anymore, it's for dementia and balancing addiction.
Yep.
There's a
Yeah, Pisces
fentanyl
rules old
vaccine.
age. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Hmm.
fentanyl vaccine. So yeah,
Oh,
that's true. The way we age now is different.
I've heard that from other people. Like the
Yeah.
the, the anti-aging movement is going to accelerate in a huge way. And someone just I was listening to, I don't remember, like a month ago, said, "Oh, we're not going to be aging at all the way we have been aging, inside and out.
No.
Not just how we
Yeah.
look in our
And
faces, but like inside and out."
that's Virgo,
Preservation is
yeah.
Virgo. Yeah. Hmm.
Virgo,
Yeah.
and also just kind of our day-to-day routines. The way we work is also set to change with that.
Really?
Yeah, the way I mean, there's no
Hmm.
question about it that AI is
Oh,
changing the landscape of how we work, but people still need the human touch. Also, so Jupiter, which is a planet that expands, and whenever it moves
hmm.
into a new sign, it's been in Gemini, the sign that rules the media, and it has
Hmm.
been like, "Wah, who do you even believe? It's crazy." It moves into Cancer in the middle of the year for a year, and
Mm.
I think we're going to see a perhaps a baby boom coming. There's all this
Wow.
the depopulation fears,
Hmm.
the trad wives are going to have their time again.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
people are, yeah.
Sadly.
I actually read that in China they're going door to door to encourage people to have children, and there's like
Wow.
because there is a threat of depopulation going on, whether we choose to have kids or not. So the also, I think, even though interest rates are not great and I think we're going to see some revolutions in the housing market by the end of the year, maybe making it more accessible for people to buy homes again,
Mm.
if not this year, next year. I mean, it's just a year of change.
Yeah.
This is not going to be the most stable year at all,
Mhm.
unfortunately. Last year was like, okay, I got my game plan. I'm gonna go, boom, gonna crush it. Yeah. This year it was like, swing.
It's a
Yeah,
9-year, also in
Yes, can
numerology.
we talk
yeah,
So,
about that? Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it's a
yeah,
great year. I think I love the 9 year, but speak about that. So two
yeah.
plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 is 9.
It's
So
9. So I kind
yeah.
of think of it, the metaphor is like, you got a pant leg stuck in the elevator and it's, you're like stuck a little bit in the past, or you're like, I'm moving, but I don't know what. I mean,
Let's hope the elevator doesn't move to put it
Yeah.
right. Just a
maybe
little bit of
not.
your pant. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's it's a scary one. But
Yeah.
it's
New
it's
metaphor, new metaphor.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, new metaphor. It's very, so the last 9 year was 2016. Uh,
Oh,
and so in 2017, we began a 1 year that ends at the end of 2025. So it's from January 1st to December 31st is the year. So if you think about it, we started 2017 with the inauguration of Donald Trump. Now we're starting 2025 the same way, which is really weird and trippy.
wow.
Um,
Yeah.
but what have we been learning since 2017 that is going to come to a close? But 9 is the last number. So it's almost like everything feels a little slower and more
Mhm.
surreal. A lot of people are saying they just can't, I made a video about all the Christmas decorations that were still up, and people were like, "Oh, it's Three Kings Day."
I saw that.
I was like, "I know
When
it
are you taking
is."
your Christmas decorations?
I
I
was
saw, I saw you.
right. I was just sorry. I'm Jewish. I was like, oh yeah, right. But I mean, I knew it was, but it's like at businesses and stores that usually by
Mhm.
now are like back to they're usually adorned with Valentine's Day. By the time
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
January 2nd, and it's like full on the gifts, and like it's still the holiday season. I'm like, that is such a 9 year thing where we're like, I'm just not ready to do. I'm not ready to go into
Mhm.
action. It's not passive. It's more like mindful, maybe a little
Mm.
demure, but very
Mhm.
like, um, I just, I'm not going to rush. Like, what
Transitional.
does it matter?
Transitional.
It's like
Yeah.
the inner world more than the outer world is interesting. So people are a little more reflective and not in a rush to
Mm.
do like we were.
Mm. That's
Hmm.
so. Do you get a sense? Are you able to look at, and I've heard this from a few other people on YouTube, I think, about what this presidency is going to look like. Are you able to see any of that or predict
It's
that at all?
it's middle of the year, so Donald Trump is a Gemini, and Jupiter, the planet of expansion and luck, was
Hmm.
definitely on his side. It moved in there May 24th and literally was like at the same degree as his son during it was just
Wow.
crazy. Like the man is lucky as can be.
Uh-huh.
But it's going to
Yeah,
be with Uranus going into Gemini from July 7th to November 7th. I don't know. Some of that erratic behavior he may,
could
I don't know if
backfire.
he'll make it through the year in office. I can't say for certainty that he,
Interest
yeah.
because of an assassination again or
I mean,
health
that's
or
just
you can't
maybe
see it.
health or an unexpected. I mean, like I'm not trying to make Gemini
Tech bro
scared
coup
or
and Uranus
anything.
goes to
Yeah.
Gemini.
Yeah, it could be a
Yeah.
tech bro coup. I mean, I think,
Wow. I've
Well,
heard other people say,
Elon Musk is a Cancer, which Jupiter is going into his sign. So yeah, go ahead anyway.
I know
Sorry.
it. I'm like, I try to figure out who's going to be vice president, is it Elon or or Vance? Because it's like,
right.
Oh my
And yeah,
God.
exactly. It's definitely a toss up, but yeah.
that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, when
Hmm.
Uranus goes into your sign, which happens every 84 years, the Tauruses were going through it since
Yeah.
2018. Like I had, a lot of them have gone through like big changes and shifts and sudden events can occur. So, given his age and his health and I don't
Yeah.
know. I think there could be some interesting, just, yeah,
It's going to be
Expect
spirals.
the
interesting.
unexpected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's talk. I want to shift gears a little bit because this was really cool. This book, The Astrology Advantage, I went in and did mine.
Awesome.
Ooh.
And for those of you that are listening or watching, if you go to astrostyle.com/I am, tell us what this book is all about.
Yeah. So over the years, as we've grown our astrology practice, we've also grown an astrology business, and we've had to become, we went to art school and we had a branding agency for many years too while we were starting out. So
Mhm.
the two lanes kind of merged into one super highway, and we started teaching people who are healers, astrologers, practitioners
Mm.
how to actually do personal branding and start businesses and profitable practices. So what happened was we would be teaching them about their chart, but it would be a little overwhelming to learn that and all the business stuff at once. So we leaned
Mm.
into, like, we need like a personality test. We need to simplify the chart. Like, what are you dominant in terms of like fire, earth, air, and water? Like taking the 13 main parts of the chart and like putting them in a blender and like distilling them into one main energy personality archetype, which you can
Mhm.
do without having to take 100 question quiz like Myers-Briggs or Enneagram and that kind of thing. So um, it takes there's a way of dividing the 12 zodiac signs into three groupings called the modalities or qualities based on whether they start or are in the middle or in the end of the season. They represent our drivers and our triggers and our psychological motivations, much like a personality test would show you. So they're called the cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs, but that's too much astro jargon. So we renamed them innovator, authority, and maven. This is like as Neptune has been in Pisces since 2012, and the world embraced the spiritual in our everyday lives, we need that to stay out of the woo woo kind of stereotyping. Like,
Mhm.
and we wanted to have a system that made astrology very practical and useful to the person who does not have time to learn astrology.
Yeah, so instead of trying to remember, oh, my sun is in Scorpio, my moon's in Aquarius, you get to use all the planets and parts of your chart and just have to remember one thing. And I know you are a hybrid, you're an innovator
I am a
authority.
hybrid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leander bar. So so we call it the IM system, which stands for innovator, authority, and maven. So this takes the sun, moon, all the planets, and the lunar nodes
On the
and your
rising sign.
rising sign,
Yeah.
and you get one single archetype, or you get two maximum.
Mhm.
You don't get to be all three, but um, innovators are people who have mostly cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Those
Mhm.
are the signs that start the season. That's what we are. Even though our sun
Mhm.
is in Sagittarius, we wind up with mostly cardinal signs. So the innovators are the people who, just like these zodiac signs, start the seasons. The innovators are the starters, the ones who are like pioneering and trailblazing. After that, and that's half of what you are. And then the other half for you, the A is
Mhm.
authority. These are the mid-season zodiac signs: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And authorities hold down the fort. They, just like these signs do, they're the ones who are create systems, create
Mhm.
structures. They love
Mhm.
spreadsheets. They make sure everyone has their lunch packed and their, you know,
Itinerary
right?
and
There are, and then lastly, we have the mavens. And the mavens are the ambassadors, the messengers, the ones who take all the things that the innovator starts the party, the authority sets the table, and the mavens make sure everyone comes and attends. So mavens are people with mostly mutable signs in their chart. They're all Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So most people have a blend of
Yeah.
all of them, and
Mhm.
that's, that you'll get when you do the IM test. You'll get the percentages. You're 5 innovator, 5 authority, and 3 maven. So you're lower on
Mhm.
maven. And what
Uh-huh.
you can do is look at that and say, well, maybe I need to, I mean, you may hate doing social media, but maven, a lot of high maven people kill it on TikTok. They're
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, I'm the
Mm.
camera's on. I don't care. I'm no makeup, whatever. I'm talking. You might want
Right.
to, like, I got to be ready for this, right?
It was really amazing. I had my husband do it too, and he was like, wow, that's so me. So I just
What
want to
does
mention it
he? Oh,
again.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
astrostyle.com and then /I am. It was really, really accurate for both of us. I was like, that's crazy.
It's fun that you mentioned your husband. I mean, I'm sure he's supportive of what you do or he wouldn't be your
Oh, yeah.
husband, but husbands like the I ams. Like it's designed,
It's
you know,
grounded. It's
a lot of
very
people,
grounded.
yeah,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of men who haven't been steeped in these kind of things and, you know, maybe been just socialized not to be open, become very curious because they understand a system, they understand a spreadsheet. It actually will map out your chart as a spreadsheet. And
Mm,
they're like, oh, this is familiar versus this overwhelming circle full of symbols that
mhm.
is, you know, a little intimidating to me. So I'm going to push it away because I don't understand it. It'll make me look bad or feel exposed or vulnerable. So it's it's had this amazing effect as we've been piloting it, especially with the book that came out in August. People are really responding to it as like, oh, this is like a tool. So we've been invited to go to people's executive teams at some
Wow.
corporations, and I'm talking like financial ones and much more like buttoned up, and they're excited to use it and find it very helpful in their intergroup dynamics because wherever you go, people are people
Yeah.
and struggle to work well together and coexist. So that was really one of the reasons we did it, for better teamwork and for just to tell people just become more of who you are, not less. How you're designed is actually perfect. You
Yeah.
may, again, like have some imbalances, but it shouldn't be so daunting to work on those.
So true. So true. So we're going to jump over to the Academy Q&A, but before we do that, I
Yeah.
know Tali, you had my chart. You said
Mhm.
you might give us like a glimpse of, for someone, again, some people that are going to be
Yeah,
listening have never had an astrology chart done,
Yeah, let's
looked
show.
at, and all of the things. So
I will
if
pull it
you,
up on the screen. Should I do
oh
that?
yeah, let me share my screen. So for those of you on YouTube, you all can watch
Yeah.
this. Hold on a second to make you co-host. Here you go.
All right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's see what's coming for 2025. We'll just take a few minutes, then we'll jump over and do Q&A.
Well, this is you basically in a cosmic form. So, uh, and everyone, when you do your chart, by the way, you can do a free birth chart on our website like this at
Mm,
astrostyle.com/birth chart, one word, and you can get this wheel for yourself. So, um, in the very middle of the wheel would be you taking your first breath and saying, "Oh,
mhm.
look at the sky." And inside these little symbols are each represent one of the planets and the sun and the moon. So here's the sun and here's the moon and then all the other ones. But on the outer ring, the pizza crust as we call it, are the 12 zodiac signs. So each one gets to have
Excuse me.
30 degrees of the sky to get an equal slice of the sky. So because the sun was in the Scorpio part of the sky, that's why you're a Scorpio. And the moon was in the Aquarius part of the sky. We can see this, and that's why you're an Aquarius moon. And this 9 o'clock point right here is the eastern horizon. I was saying
Mm.
earlier, when you're looking out, so you're, because Aquarius, if we were to kind of draw this line through, was on the horizon. That's why you're an Aquarius rising. So that's a little quick and dirty of how a birth chart works. We're actually teaching a course starting on February 22nd called Becoming an
Ooh,
Astrologer. Yep. And if anyone's
perfect.
interested in that, you know, they can,
No,
yeah.
I'll
So,
add it to the show notes for
oh,
sure. I'll get all
cool.
the
Yeah.
details. I'll put it right in the show notes. That's awesome.
Yeah, we did it last year, and like people were like, "Oh my God, finally this makes sense!" And even some of the people went on to open astrology practices for that. So,
Wow. Oh my gosh.
yeah. But in terms of, the big things that are happening for you, there's actually a lot of action. This the in your first house this year. This is the first house here. It starts with 9 o'clock and goes counterclockwise. These slices are the houses. And based on how close to the equator you were, they'll all be different because you were pretty far north up in Rochester. You have some big houses, some small ones,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of um, emphasis on kind of rebranding yourself, putting yourself out, like, who am I? Like, this
Wow.
renewal energy that's coming in because let's see, Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, all in your first house of self.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, yeah, some big like partnerships could be really important for you, but more like on a short-term basis, a little bit of, like you don't have to lock yourself in for a long time, but you may find yourself like, or
Mhm.
even maybe starting well, maybe you have a membership program already, but
That's what we're in right now.
oh, okay,
I
great.
started it, actually, it's the Academy of Awakening. We started it in August.
Oh, okay, great. Well, it's a great, yeah. I mean,
Yep.
I'm looking at your third house, which is kind of and Uranus going into Gemini, Jupiter is in Gemini, so that really activated it. That's great. But like,
Hmm.
there might even be a little more like user-generated content that you start bringing in,
Hmm.
or
Yep.
ways that people can, yeah, interact with each other too more, or even a live event somewhere could be cool in the
Yep.
second half of the year. Yeah.
Second half of the year. Yeah, I'm planning all of those things.
Oh, wow. Of course,
You're
of
dead
course.
on. Why
Yeah.
does it, I don't have anything though in these other houses right there.
Yeah, an empty house is like, so you have a lot of stuff in your seventh house, which is the relationship house, and you're happily
Mm.
married. You have
Mhm.
lucky Jupiter there. You have Venus, the love planet there,
Mm.
in Libra. But empty houses are like rooms that don't have furniture in them. So each one of these, the houses are like the areas of life that get charged up. So
Mm.
your moon was in the first house when you were born. So your emotions are very close to the surface. You express yourself through your
I do.
feelings. You're an empath. But you have an
Hmm.
empty third house, empty fourth house. It's almost like that area of life is a little more unscripted. Like when like your sun is up in the ninth house, which is the seeker, the traveler, the publisher, like you just
Hmm.
can't help but do things when a planet, it just charges up that area of your life. But, you know, you also sometimes have an obstacle to design around too, whereas, so don't worry about having an empty house. It's actually, people are like, oh my God, my marriage house is empty. It's like, well, maybe that's a good thing because you don't.
Well, thank you so much for this little mini
Yeah,
read. Thank you,
sure.
ladies. I want to open up the floor for Q&A, but before I do that, I want to ask you again, and you've given me some links already, but is this the main link? Where would people go to find you? You do astrology sessions for people now individually? You do not do that anymore. You do. Okay.
Yeah, we
Where would
do.
people find you?
Yeah, astrostyle.com is our website.
Okay.
And follow us on Instagram at Astro Twins because that's where
Mhm.
we have links to readings. We'll have announcements of Become Your Own Astrologer when it's open.
Oh,
And
great.
yeah, all of that
Awesome.
stuff.
I'm going
Yeah.
to add all this to the show notes and all the other links you mentioned as well. So thank you, thank you,
Great.
thank you for being with us today.
So
So
great.
great.
So
Yeah, of
fun. Thanks for letting us
course.
go on about our favorite subject. So
You
yeah.
clearly
Yeah.
know your stuff, your stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you.